Hello, everyone, and once again, welcome to the Kenny Wallace Show. So this is questions for Kenny. Boy, this is a lot of fun. Our producer, Charlie Marlow. Charlie, you're in charge of this one. What are they saying out there, my friend?
All right. Thank you, Kenny. Got a lot of questions. Put this on the community tab on YouTube last night. Got about 20 plus questions. So here we go. Now, I know you've been asked before, of course, about you pushing Dale Earnhardt Sr. to his last victory, and you got second place. But this particular question from Evan Wallace was, did it bring new meaning to you 4 months later when he passed away? So did you feel differently, obviously, day of the race and then when he passed?
Oh, yes, 100%. Because, we always knew that Dale Sr. was going to keep on winning. And then when he died in that tragic accident at the Daytona 500 in the next year, it was like, oh my gosh, that was the last win of his life. But yeah, it was definitely brought a whole different meaning. And, it put me in a different situation where to this day, I don't bring it up, but every year that second Talladega race rolls around, media start calling me and fans start talking to me. And yeah, it's a very sad time actually. But yes, it was definitely different when he passed away, because at the time we just thought it was cool. And then it became a legendary race.
Okay, so this is Rosenbaum Racing asking you, hey, Kenny, lifelong drag racer here. Do you have any experience with drag racing, or what's your other favorite form of motorsports to watch besides circle tracks?
As a lot of you know, my main sponsor with my dirt cart is Jegs. Jegs High Performance Aftermarket Car Parts. Go to jegs.com and you get anything you want to soup your vehicle up. So yes, I was at the Charlotte four wide drag strip. Myself and Clint Boyer did hole shots in pro stocks. So I actually every once in a while on social media, I'll put a picture of myself and Jed Coughlin. And hey, I think I was 50 years old or maybe 49, but this old man here now, it made me dizzy. I sat there and held the gas wide open, with the clutch in, and man, the G forces, Charlie, it puts the brain back in your brain floats in liquid, and it goes back, and it's like, whoa. And I went through a couple gears, maybe one or two gears, and shut it down. I didn't do the full drag strip, but yeah, I've never really raced, but I did it. And I said, okay, I'm done.
All right, this is from Travis Lownice. Hey, Kenny, what do you remember about your last start at Iowa Speedway, and do you think they should add it back on the schedule? P.S. I did the Rusty Wallace racing experience there a few weeks later, and they still had the Thank You, Kenny billboard up.
Very cool. Well, yes, Iowa is a great racetrack. That was the home of my very last NASCAR start. I drove the Joe Gibbs Toyota. You know what? Hold on. I drove this car. I drove that car in 2015 to my very last NASCAR start, and it goes right up there on the shelf. So yeah, that whole Iowa Speedway deal, that's really a strange one, because that's a great shaped racetrack, and crowds were good, but I don't know, it didn't last. But yeah, great racetrack. Wish they'd bring it back. And I think Iowa was the deal that got caught in NASCAR recreating themselves. They got rid of Chicagoland Speedway, they got rid of Kentucky, and they still hold one ARCA race there to this day. And the reason is the state of Iowa said, look, we gave you a huge tax break, and in the contract it says you must run one race there a year. So the racetrack is still in operation, because if they don't operate, they would have to pay a huge penalty. So who knows? It could come back.
All right, this is from Ultimate 23 Dragon asking, Kenny, what are your favorite memories of your time on the show Inside Winston Cup?
Yeah, Charlie, that was a great show that was on Speed TV, which is now FS1. It was on every Monday night. It was usually Alan Bestwick as the host, and then Michael Waltrip, Kenny Schrader, and Johnny Benson were the original core four, as we might want to say. And I would go on there every once in a while when one of those drivers couldn't make it. And what we did is kind of what we're doing right here, Charlie, where, the race is on Sunday, and we talk about what happened on Monday night. They would usually take that show around noon on Monday, and then it would air on Monday night, and the fans ate it up. They loved it because everybody was usually honest. Those were during the days where you took a lot to get in trouble. And nowadays, I don't know if a show like that show happens right here, Charlie, because we're honest. But nowadays, everybody's afraid to speak their mind, except me, because I don't work for anybody. But yeah, that was a fun show. That was that was called, I believe, Inside Nextel Cup or whatever the sponsor was at that time. So yeah, Inside NASCAR on Monday nights. Great show.
All right, Jason Stacy asks, any chance we see Kenny in the booth when the Cup Series comes to Worldwide Technology Raceway? So I think you've talked about what you're going to do. You got some special media responsibilities.
Yeah, so I haven't been asked to be in the TV booth for any reason. Maybe my brother Rusty, because he was a champion. All that comes down to the decision of one of my bosses, Jacob Ullman. Jacob is very famous at Fox Sports. You have the president of Fox Sports, which is Eric Shanks. But Jacob Ullman, he's the one that, hires everybody at Fox, national, all, the big sporting events. And it would be up to Jacob. I'm sure if he asked me to be up there for any time, he'd say, all right, Herm, now stay out of trouble. Because he knows that. But he put me in that position, to give my opinion. But yeah, as you mentioned, Charlie, 9:30 Central Standard Time. Maybe some people might put it on their phone, but we have an hour and a half show. It's going to be called Kenny Wallace Live with John Roberts as the host. We're going to recreate a NASCAR race day. We've already got great drivers lined up. We want everybody, all the fans, we want you to get parked early. We're going to have a lot going on. So come to the show, 9:30. We got Kyle Larson. I think we're going to have Bubba Wallace. We're going to have my brothers, Rusty and Mike. And listen, we're gonna dance, we're gonna drink some beer, we're gonna play some music, and we're gonna talk some racing. So that'll be a fun area, 9:30 on June 5th, Sunday at Worldwide Technology Raceway. So if they do ask me to come up in the booth, I'll head up there.
All right. Brookie Smalls asks, hey, Kenny, what's the most interesting thing in NASCAR you wish fans would talk about and appreciate more? God bless, from Texas.
God bless Texas. And so I wish that people knew. So I hear this one saying every once in a while, and it goes for all athletes. Well, he's knocking down $10 million a year. He is our business. He ought not be complaining about nothing. That's wrong. Just because somebody's good at something and they're offered a lot of money, it doesn't mean, because you're making 40, 50 grand a year, that you can't be mad at somebody because, they're making $6 million a year. They have, that's what they do. That's life. And I wish fans would be a little more understanding, because fans get mean. I pay his salary. I paid the ticket to get in. He should tell me about himself. He turned me down. When you go to those racetracks, listen, competition to kill you, Charlie. Athletes are everybody's the same, but it doesn't mean, you have to, be mean and tell somebody you act the way I want you to act because I bought a ticket to see you. That's not right. That's not the way it is. I wish the fans could see a little more understanding there and understand that.
All right. R1957 asks, any chance we see Kenny in a Crown Vic at Bristol? Is this a Cletus race?
No, I'm going to tell you what, I've seen more injuries with track packing cars. Usually what happens, Charlie, is down south at the red clay racetrack. So we have different dirt. It's geology, right? The South is famous for red clay. And for some reason, they love them Crown Vics down there, like, 1975 Crown Vic or whatever. And they use those old Crown Vics to pack the racetracks in, the dirt tracks, iron it in, get the dirt really nice. But no, I've seen people wreck those damn things thinking they're race car drivers. I need the roll cage, seat belts, and helmet.
All right. Matt Jansen asks, what has been the most enjoyable car you have ever raced?
The most enjoyable race car I've ever raced. I'm having a lot. I'm having the most enjoyable time of my life right now, Charlie. Running this UMP Dirt Modified. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. I must say that second and third, I've done some races driving for other people's cars, hobby cars. I run. I remember going to Hibbing, Minnesota. I believe that's the home of Kevin McHale, maybe, who played for the Boston Celtics. And it's also the home of Greyhound buses. I was all the way in Hibbing, Minnesota, and I drove a hobby car. It was a station wagon. So much fun because, when you run a lower division, you just don't take everything so serious. And that was one of the most fun trips I've ever had. That one night, I ran a super late model, which is a very expensive car. I finished second. Ran a modified and it broke. And then I ran that station wagon, El Camino. I was doing an appearance at the Hardys, and I was signing autographs across the street from the racetrack. He said, Kenny Wallace, will you drive my race car? I said, does it have a safe seat in it? He said, well, I'll run home and get the race car. Sure enough, the kid come back like a half hour later with his race car on his trailer. Had a nice, safe seat. So I drove it and had a hell of a good time.
Love it. All right. This is Mark Witkowski, two-part question. Kenny, can you explain how hard it is to race for 500 miles as fast as you can and how a pit stop is so important to get everything right in 15 seconds? Then also, Mark says, and you must smile as you look back on life knowing three poor-ass kids, this is his words, from Missouri would all race in the top tier of stock cars with the Allisons, Pettys, Cale, Dale, etc., and Rusty going into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that's a good point. And it's, we've done some videos on depression, and every once in a while I have my mom or somebody say, Kenny Wallace, there's thousands of people that want to be a NASCAR driver, and you were one. So yes, now that I'm 58 years old, I look through my life. I'm very thankful. My mom says, I'm so thankful to have three boys that made it to the highest form of motorsports. And you get roughed up. They want to remind you, hey, you weren't that great. But damn it, I was in the show for 904 races. And so, yes, I'm very thankful. And I am humbled. And I truly mean humbled, like, oh, my gosh, I can't believe it. I know a lot of great race car drivers, that, no matter what, just somehow, not everybody can make it to the show. So, yeah. And what was that other question right there?
The first part was about just pitting, how you can
yeah.
race for 500 miles, but the pit stops for 15 seconds are so important.
Yeah, there's a couple racetracks that just see. I don't have Charlie. I don't have an ass. Like if you see me in real, my back goes straight down. It's like, damn, Wallace don't have a butt. The Coke 600. Oh my God, my butt would hurt after that race. I'd be limping. My wife say, "What's wrong?" I said, "My butt hurts." Every corner you come up in G forces, and so at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, 600 miles, then Dover and Bristol, and my butt would be numb. And he's right. Once you search the track out, your objective is to keep as much speed as you can for 600 miles. Well, if my car don't want to run good here, I got to go up here. And and then when you come down pit road, you don't want to get in trouble. You don't want a pit road penalty for going too fast. So yes, your temples, your brain really is worn out after any NASCAR race because you're so focused. You're giving it your all. And yes, it is tough mentally and physically.
All right, a question about Rusty from VG. Did Rusty's interest in motorcycles start with the Miller Lite and Harley paint scheme?
That's a really good question. I can tell you that us Wallaces grew up motocrossing right here in Arnold, Missouri. Now, we always liked motorcycles, but I asked Rusty, I said, what made you get into these motorcycles? He said, Herm, I started going out to Sturgis for, the most famous motorcycle rally in the world, I believe, especially in America, Sturgis. And he met a 12-time off-road dirt truck champion, Walker Evans. As they say nowadays, Googling Walker Evans, one of the greatest of all time. Walker was a rebel, tough guy, and him and Walker got to racing each other and doing crazy things. And Walker kind of talked Rusty in, to motorcycles. Walker Evans is very successful right now with, off-road truck parts. Very famous, builds these big shocks that allows these big trucks. And he's got a hell of a business. But Walker Evans is somebody that Rusty looks up to. So to answer your question, it was Walker Evans that got Rusty into the motorcycle, custom-made motorcycles, which is Southern Country Customs. Rusty's got it going on Instagram. Instagram's a good place to check out, Southern Country Customs and see the custom bikes that Rusty and his son Steve build.
All right. Nancy McGee asks, Kenny, what is the best advice you've ever got from another driver?
Most of my great advice has always been from the great Dick Trickle, which was you must first finish to finish first. So you got a race that's a 100-lap race, 500-lap race. You must first finish to finish first. So in other words, don't get into a pissing match 30 laps into the race, wreck out because you were going at it with some guy and you're in the pit area and you're broken. You look up and they're still racing without you. So that was number one. That really helped me win the 1986 ASA Rookie of the Year. That was my first year racing. I ran good, but I made sure that I did my best finishing, and that boded well in my NASCAR career. Races, I wouldn't be going good, and they'd all wreck out, and I'd get myself a good finish. My brother Rusty, Bobby Allison got hurt, got wrecked at Pocono, and Rusty's words to me, Herm, hope for the best, prepare for the worst. Save your money for a rainy day. So I guess that's, why I'm okay to this day, because I never spent all my money. The nickname is Missouri Frugal. That means you're frugal. You don't got to spend all your money. Save it for a rainy day. Then the next one was probably Dale Sr. His was quite odd. He said, Herman, don't ever use the word beat me. I looked at him, I said, what's that all about? He said, the word beat means I'm done. I'm out. He says, in racing or any sports, you might play the next day and I might beat you. So I said, what's the difference? He says, use the word outrun, because we're always competing. So Earnhardt taught me to use the word outrun. Hey, in baseball, 162 games, you outrun me tonight, but we're going to go at it again tomorrow. So that kind of gave me a good smile. And so always remember that. Dale Sr. said it was just one of his quirks. That was just one of his quirks. So there's an example of three greats that gave me some of their little quirks, and I use them to this day.
All right. South Georgia Collectibles asks, do you think NASCAR would ever consider racing within an allotted time rather than trying to cram a certain amount of laps within a time frame? Seems like television viewers are missing post-race interviews and sponsors are missing out on post-race airtime. Feels rushed to get to the next program when the race ends.
Yeah, that's a new thing, Charlie, going on, and maybe we should do a Kenny Wallace show on that. I know all too well about that. I know too much, right? Because I was in TV for 15 years. I was in every production meeting. I listened to every producer, and what's funny is the producer's boss tells them you should never be short on time. But there is a theory that we need to fix this. People want to hear from the top three at least after the race, and they're not even going over to, NASCAR's kind of got rid of the victory lane show that I used to do that was so popular. You break down the race right away, and then they replay it again at 10 o'clock at night. I see baseball still does it. People might not be able to watch the race because of some reason, so they want to watch the post show, and then they'll, in a capsule, know what's going on. So yes, I agree with that, and we need to do a show about that because I see that topic being brought up more and more. They just want to get off the air, and one of the greatest funs of all sports is talking about what happened. So they're not even doing that in NASCAR right now.
All right. Hellbilly Deluxe asks, how has the culture inside NASCAR changed, and was it for the better?
It's changed for the worse because nobody's having any fun. All my friends that are crew members, I say they're like the Willy Wonka. Everybody's like soldiers. Nobody's happy. Recently, Charlie, you and I went over to the Worldwide Technology Raceway, and there must have been 20 engineers, and you can see that story right here on our YouTube page back up 3 or 4 episodes ago. They wouldn't smile. And I said to them as I was walking to my car, I said, all right, guys, listen up. I took a chance, Charlie. I embarrassed myself. I said, boys, I'm retired and I'm having a good time. Y'all got to smile. And they all smiled. But the culture is so damn serious. One thing I like when I watch my St. Louis Cardinals, Adam Wainwright, when he goes to the mound, he's serious. It's showtime. But when he's in the dugout, he's laughing, smiling. That's what I like. These guys are just miserable all the damn time. And it's a tough environment.
All right. Alec the Flexer asks, hey, Kenny, what's your opinion on the shark fin you guys ran at Dega and Daytona back in 2001? Do you think it would be good for the next gen cars, and did it make drafting better?
Well, my car owner, Andy Petrie, at the time, Charlie, there was a time where I ran I think in the top 10, 3 or 5 races in a row. And my car owner, Andy Petrie, went on to tell everybody that Kenny's so good at Talladega because of this rules package. Maybe so. What he means by the shark fin is on the roof of the car, there was about this 1.5-inch tall piece, and it went right across the roof from left to right, and it disturbed the air. And then on the spoiler, we had what we called a gurney flap. It was like this. It would just catch the air. It was an aerodynamic rules package that treated me well, but I did have a good car too. But I ran good in another team's race car, which was that 81 TIC car. I ran good in that car too. So, listen, it's a moving target. It's one thing about NASCAR right now. You'll never know the rule from one race to the next. They are desperately, when I say desperate, I don't say that lightly. They're desperate to give the fans what they want.
All right, Landon Thompson, two-part question, or 2 questions. Would you like to see a cup race return to North Wilkesboro? Another question, do you think Larry Phillips should be in the NASCAR Hall of Fame?
Yes and yes. What's old is now new. We talked about this before, Charlie, where, in baseball, you don't get rid of Fenway Park. You don't get rid of Wrigley. What you do is you fix them up. You make them modern. You keep the green wall because that's what makes Fenway Fenway. You keep the ivy on the wall out there so the ball can get lost. That's then it's just a ground rule double or whatever. There's rules and regulations for that. And you don't have to update everything perfectly. We deal with these nuances. So they messed up. They got rid of Wilkesboro. They got rid of Rockingham because they said, oh, these tracks can only fit 60,000 people. What? We all don't have to be the big house in Michigan, It's okay to be Busch Stadium and sell out at 45,000. It's NASCAR just dealt with their hand right there. So 60,000 people is the new success, and everybody else watching on TV nowadays. So yes, Larry Phillips needs to be in the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame is not rigged, but it's full of Northeastern people. The problem with the NASCAR Hall of Fame is everybody that sits on the board is from the New York area. And so it's just the way it is. I know it. I'm right. And Larry Phillips, one of the greatest race car drivers of all time. Even Dale Earnhardt Jr. said Larry Phillips needs to be in the Hall of Fame because he got educated. There's nothing wrong being educated. Well, I love saying, man, I was wrong. I love that. It puts my mind at free. I was wrong. And then everybody likes you. Because, man, that Wallace admitted he was wrong. He's a good guy. Larry Phillips needs to be in the Hall of Fame. Instead, they keep putting people in there that, they were good, they're deserving, but Larry Phillips won so many championships, and Larry Phillips tutored and trained Mark Martin, Rusty Wallace, Jamie McMurray, Carl Edwards, and he was the teacher, and he won. So, yes, Larry Phillips needs to be in the Hall of Fame. It's a tragedy that he's not.
All right, couple more here. Let's see. Down here, here it is. Okay. Pat Watson asks, I've always wanted to know what happens when you crash a cup car. Is there a big lecture or do owners just roll another one out? So like if you back in the day wrecked an expensive cup car, is the owner ever pretty pissed about that?
Give you a different version of that from my brother, Rusty. They got to follow this. It was funny. Pretend I'm Rusty Wallace. Hey, car owner, I'm driving your car and your motor blew up and I spun out in your oil and broke my arm. It's not always the driver's fault. It could be your car. Your car broke apart. Or somebody wrecks in front of you and you get into them. So Charlie, here's the deal with that. That's part of the sport. That's like we see these great athletes, whether it's Albert Pujols or whether it's Alex Rodriguez or whoever. If I get hurt, you're still paying me, buddy, because I'm paying for your team. And it was your third base coach that told me to keep running. Broke my ankle sliding in the third. So it's not always the competitor's fault. It's more of a 50-50 deal. So you'll see a lot of owners, a lot of contracts that are written that, hey, it's part of competition, man. We're hoping this doesn't happen. And that's why we all get that legendary insurance. And just about every athlete has it.
All right. Final question from Metric Karma, ending here on a light note. Hey, Herm, what goes on your dream burger if you're eating a hamburger or a cheeseburger?
I like that. So when I go to Steak and Shake, we have a nice, clean Steak and Shake here in Arnold, Missouri. They've upgraded. I'll get a single steak burger with mustard and pickles. I'm just a plain guy. Years ago, I got rid of the mayonnaise, and so that's just my dream burger. I'm a pretty simple eater. I don't have to have anything special, and and of course later on, got to get a banana shake.
Love it. All right, this was fun. Great questions. I was in TV for 20 years. I don't know why I look like a Martian and I'm red. I tried to figure that out.
You look good, Charlie.
I'll work on it for next time. And for folks that are viewing this channel, we got a bunch of cool videos coming up. And also, Kenny, next week, as we approach the St. Louis race, we're going to have tons of content as we cover that.
Yeah, you're right. And, we're going to call that Speed Week. Remember, it all kicks off on Tuesday. Let me look at the date here. Look here, Charlie. I'm still old school.
Oh, yeah.
Dale Sr. taught me this. I like the look. So I got these little squares. Okay, so remember, on May 31st is the Cardinals game. It's the last home game. So we're all going to the Cardinals game on Tuesday, May 31st. I believe we have the NASCAR tractor trailer parade. And then Wednesday, June 1st, Tri-City Speedway, Granite City, Illinois. That's Flow Night, the Flow app. We're going to have, Kyle Larson, all the NASCAR drivers we'll be running, I believe, World of Outlaw sprint cars. Thursday, they'll be running Granite again, and then I will be running again on June 3rd. So June 1st, June 3rd, you can come watch me race Tri-City Speedway, Granite City, Illinois. And then, on that 3rd, everything starts at Worldwide Technology. So, and I'll be running at Peevely on the 4th, that Saturday night. So we're calling that Speed Week, and me and you will be exhausted. We'll have so much content.
Yes, sir. Can't wait. All right, this was fun. Great questions, great answers. We'll see you. Remember, comment, like, and subscribe as well.